Open Line. You're listening to Open Line.
Here we are. It's Open Line. My name is Tami Heide, and joining me is Dan Barry of Marc Skid, marcskid.com. And basically, you are involved in distributing and selling underwear that cares. That's what I came up with.
Yeah, Tammy, it's a startup brand. It was started in October of 2017, so basically about a year ago. And it's as of right now, it's the only underwear that gives back. So how we do that is that there's 3 platforms to the brand: Save the World, Feed the World, and Cure the World. So what happens when Tammy decides that she wants to buy a pair of underwear from Marc Skid, she would go online, and the first decision that she would need to make as a customer is, do I want to save the world, feed the world, or cure the world? And once that decision's made, then the customer chooses one of 9 4-star charities ranked by Charity Navigator to where their $4 will be donated on behalf of them to that charity doing work in the world to solve those issues, whether it's the environment, save the world, hunger, which is feed the world, and cure the world is obviously medical issues that are going on in the world. And the impact is actually pretty great. I mean, $4 is a different approach. Most people do a percent of net profit, although they say profit.
Yeah, and so you never know what that is. I'm glad that you guys at Marc Skid say what it is right up front. $4 per, is it per pair or per purchase?
Per pair. So $4, just to give you a couple examples, $4 through some of our charities can plant 4 trees, can vaccinate 2 children through water.org, which is Matt Damon's charity. It can provide safe drinking water for an individual for 7 years. And it could also deliver like $80 in medical equipment through Project Cure. So the impact is pretty substantial with 1 pair of underwear. Then obviously if someone buys 2, 3, or 4, which we're hoping, it really can make a very large impact with just a purchase of underwear. And the brand really starts, though, our mission is to make your mark on the world, and the brand really starts in the way that it's made. The brand is made with organic Pima cotton, which everybody always, the buzzword is organic. Actually, the buzzword in this brand is Pima, because organic speaks to the way that something is grown in a very environmentally healthy way for the earth. But Pima is actually the finest cotton in the world, and is actually, as a standalone, is more rare than organic. So we take those 2 elements. I went to Peru to source the fabric. We take those 2 elements and put them together, organic Pima, and you're literally talking about 0.0005% of all the cotton that's produced in the world.
It's the fine Peruvian soil that helps make the Pima so soft, and the softest cotton, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would say just like, you guys out there in California feel like you're the best place in the world to grow wine. The Peruvian people believe that it's the best place in the world to grow cotton. And when you go to Peru, in many ways they're ahead of us. Like in Peru, it's not a matter of whether a company uses GMOs or not. It's actually outlawed by the country. So when you talk about GMOs, which is an important part of being organic, it's outlawed in the country. There are no GMOs there. So they're actually ahead of America in certain ways. And everything comes from family farms. There's no corporate farming. And it's really kind of old school. Everything's done by hand, really very few machinery. So that's where you're getting. And then the second part, which I'm very proud of, is that our waistband is made from 1 recycled water bottle.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask about. 1 recycled water bottle, and it makes each waistband. So 1 recycled water bottle is going to make your nice elastic waistband, because water bottle, it's basically the same substance that you would use, in an elastic waistband.
Yeah, there's elastic in there, but typically a waistband is made with polyester, and most people, I certainly didn't know this, that the polyester that you have in a drinking bottle of water, which about 85% of those end up in a landfill, is actually polyester. So the product has been around for a while. It's called Reprieve. Most people don't use it because obviously it costs more than virgin polyester because you have to go through, I guess, capturing those bottles and then upcycling them into textile-grade polyester. But there's no difference between regular polyester and Reprieve polyester. It's just that they've captured those water bottles. And we're a very small company, but our belief is that there should be no plastic bottles that do not go through this process, and we should not be making virgin polyester until we've accounted for every plastic bottle, because I'm sure all your listeners are very much aware, it's in the news all the time, the plastic crisis that we have in the world, and plastic bottles are a big part of that.
Yes, we're leading the way in getting rid of plastic straws here in California. Where are you in the world? You mentioned, we're in California. Where are you?
I am actually on the East Coast in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
But originally from the middle of the country in St. Louis. So.
And Dan Barry is our guest. He's from Marc Skid, and they are selling underwear that is making a good mark on the world. And you guys started this having a couple brews, didn't you? This whole idea.
Yeah.
It came out of a brew fest. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it did. I worked 25 years for my hometown brewery, Budweiser, and unfortunately, in 2015, it got kicked to the curb. But I think there's a little point of inspiration there for some of your listeners. This idea is actually 25 years old. It's just I was so busy in my corporate career that I never had the opportunity to kind of really jump on it and get this thing launched. So when I lost my job, it really became an opportunity for me to, actually bring this idea to life, which I had for 25 years. So I hope your listeners find that to be an inspiration to hold on to your ideas and do something when it's the right time for you. But the way the brand kind of started, number one, is really, it's a twofold answer, is that, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of great examples of giving back in my life. My parents have been involved in my hometown community, whether it's volunteering, spearheading initiatives, or serving in the government. And then my mom's best friend growing up was a nun, or became a nun, Sister Lorinda, who has a mission in Honduras she started over 30 years ago called Pro Papa Missions Honduras. Later in life, one of my great experiences was going down there and doing mission work. So
I was going to say, I thought that you had some Honduras work and other kind of missionary work in your background.
Yeah, so I mean, that's so important to the idea. It's not actually how the idea came to mind, but it was the motivation for when my job went away. I would almost say I was challenged by Sister Lorinda, my parents, to do more with my life, to try to find a vehicle to give back. And I think that's what motivated me with this career change to want to bring this brand to life.
And I bet it is more rewarding than you could have imagined after that first meeting to bring all these things together, these skills that you had, these concerns that you had, into making this company. And it's only been about a year, like you said, right?
Yeah, it was a year. And as I mentioned, and you'd asked me that, it's 25 years old, though. It's so you asked me about the drink. The idea was actually, I call it, rather than thought up, drank up by two guys. 25 years ago, I'm sitting in a room with an apartment with my best friend. We didn't feel like going out because we worked in the beer industry, and whenever we got a night off, we'd like to kind of hang out and just chill. And he had bought a pair of high-end underwear that sat on his coffee table, and we just got, talking about it, two guys drinking beers, and the first thing that came to our mind was that, underwear, unlike any other apparel item, 25 years ago, still today, you put this fly body on the packaging and you let it fly. I guess I would call it the king of superficial, kind of empty, vanity-driven marketing, underwear marketing. And, years later, Zoolander came out and kind of had us all laughing at those same characteristics, that, vanity-driven, superficial, but this was in the person in Zoolander. So that's kind of where the idea came from, and I think it did just kind of over time morphed into a question that I had is, why can't brands be like the people that we admire in life? And it's pretty easy, the characteristics that we all like in people. And number one, that's a sense of humor. That's where that cheeky name comes from.
I was going to say, who gets credit for naming the company Marc Skid?
I do, and we'll talk about that. But so it's a strong character. It's kind of the organic Pima, the recycled water bottle, and then we like in people. We also like people that have a purpose in life. So that's the giving back. So in that same conversation that we were having that night about underwear in general, we were both joking around about how when we were little children, our mothers used to be obsessed with the status of our underwear prior to a pediatrician's visit. And so somewhere along the line, I took that idea and I flipped the name around. I said, well, what if I came up with a fictional fashionista and I made Mark with a C and flipped the word around and had a little pun on the whole word. So that's how the name came to be. Now the question is, what was my motivation through the years to stick with it? Well, again, I think you have an idea and then you have a passion or purpose behind the idea, and truly behind the name, this is how I feel, is that humor and laughing is the greatest free gift any of us have been given. And I know that when I did my mission work in Honduras, the one thing that stood out to me more than anything was that no matter how tough the conditions, the people down there laughed, and they seemed to laugh and enjoy themselves more than we do in the United States. And it was Mark Twain that said that the human race has one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. So for me, if there's one occasion where a wearer down the road is having a bad day and they wake up in the morning and they're brushing their teeth and they look at their waistband and they get a smile to their face, then our little cheeky name reminds them of our greatest gift, and that's laughter. Purpose served. So that's
excellent.
The passion behind the name.
Well, yes.
Start from a sophomore plate, that's for sure.
That's okay. I mean, years ago, I've been disc jockey besides hosting Open Line, disc jockey for a long time, and we would joke that Skid Row and Richard Marx should tour together so that they could be this
I love
Skid
it.
Marx tour. But yeah.
It's never too late. My wife is a huge Poison fan, so maybe we can throw them in the mix.
Let's get the band back together, Dan. Well, that's excellent. And it's funny that you mentioned Mark Twain, because while I was preparing to speak with you, I was thinking about Mark Twain and wondering if there was some element in there. So yes, there was.
Well, I am a Missouri boy, so Mark Twain is originally from Samuel Clemens is originally from Hannibal, which is up the street from St. Louis. So he has always been, if you're a Missourian, he's always been, a part of your life growing up, and he was a great humorist. So he has some incredible quotes. I love quotes.
A national treasure he is. I thank you so much. Dan Barry has been our guest. He's the creator of Marc Skid, and marcskid.com is the website where you can go and buy yourself some excellent organic Pima cotton underwear. Help make your mark on the world. $4 from each pair that you buy goes to Save, Feed, and Cure the World. And you get to choose between 9 4-star charities by Charity Navigator that will benefit from your goodwill, your sense of humor, and your need for underwear. And why buy just one pair? I mean, I understand if you go commando, but if you do wear underwear, you need more than one pair.
Tammy, I couldn't agree more, and it was a pleasure speaking to you and being on your show, and an honor to talk about Marc Skid. One of our 4-star charities is based there in California, the Concern Foundation. And I don't know if your listeners have heard of them, but they do nothing but fund cancer research of all types. Check out our charities. They're all doing wonderful work, all doing it in a little bit of different ways, and we think that we can all together we can make the appropriate changes that we need to make in our world by doing it together.
Well, thank you again for being our guest on Open Line, Dan Barry of Marc Skid and their organic Pima cotton. I'm feeling like I just want to cuddle up with them right now. Underwear.
Well, please do, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Bye.